but the total cost of ownership that Michelin has brought forward today is not something new. It's something we've all been doing as transporters for years. It's just how we've labelled it. As Charles correctly said, we would have spoken about CPK in the past. And I always thought that meant cents per kilometre, but it's no longer cents. But it really, total cost of ownership is something that is misunderstood, because we take these hard costs that we can calculate every single month, but we struggle to factor in the variables. And it's in the variables that we are either winning or losing, because the margins are so tight in the transport sector. So I just wanted to mention a really good friend of mine, AK, or your name is Abdul, from KDG, mentioned on a WhatsApp while you guys were speaking that when he was running a trial with low rolling resistance tyres on his fleet, he was getting between 8 and 10% reduction in his fuel consumption. But what was also important was the fact that they had the correct tyre inflation and they had the correct wheel alignment. So together you can achieve exactly what Michelin is talking about. The other number that really worried me that Charles spoke of was this 2.66 kgs. That we're having to talk about. We're talking about 550 kilometre trip, round trip, 100,000, 200 kilometres on a truck from Durban to Johannesburg and back, is burning 1.4, Patrick Moran, 1,450 kilograms. Now, let's try and multiply that over a year. It is serious amounts of carbon emission that we have to look at. Now, there are ways we can do this. We can certainly look at new energy vehicles. I mean, that is something that's there at the moment. We've got Volvo's EV, it's beautiful. I drove it in Sweden a year ago. I didn't even know it was on, just like the Audi that's outside here today. It is magnificent, and pulling 40 tons, you had no way of knowing that vehicle was switched on. But in South Africa, battery electric vehicles are still a major challenge, because on top of the purchase price, we still have a 20% levy that is imposed, making it impossible at this point to run a BEV fleet economically. So there's two. There's one that's owned by Volvo Financial Services and one that's owned by AK from KDG Logistics. We also have Scania, and we have Mercedes-Benz, obviously piloting very different projects. And about a month ago, I had the privilege of sitting with the economic, there goes my memory, the WEF in Cape Town, and we were looking at the ShopRite Checkers fleet, where they have brought in EV, and they're using solar panels. They've got solar panels on the top of their trucks that power their forklift. And they've got charging stations at the ShopRite Checkers depots. They've had to look at multiple approaches to get one EV vehicle working. These are the long-term goals. They're the big goals. And maybe, who knows, it might be EV. It might be green hydrogen. It might be CNG. It might be a hybrid. I don't know what the future looks like. But there are tangible and low-hanging fruit right now that we can look at that can address our total cost of ownership.